First of all, I'd like to thank all of you for coming this evening. Marga and I are delighted to be able to host you for this interesting evening of conversation and thought and dialogue. First, I'd like to thank Marga personally for the tremendous work she did in setting all this up. I mean, without her, we really wouldn't have been able to put together this fabulous evening. So thank you very much, Marga, for your help.
I'd like to thank Father Borys and Mr. Weigel for the opportunity.
I'd also like to thank John Curry, who's in the back, who's the president of the Ukrainian Catholic Education Foundation, which is the Ukrainian Catholic University's foundation in the United States, and Jim Kaiser, who's also in the back, and all of his colleagues at the foundation who were very helpful in putting all this together. Thank you, Jim, and thank you, John, for all your help. And finally, I'd like to thank my mother, who was in Detroit. She called me last night and said she'd gotten on the internet and saw that it was supposed to be pouring rain in Washington today. And so she hit the rosary hard this morning, and apparently it worked because we've got cool weather, but at least it's not raining. Why am I particularly interested in the Ukrainian Catholic University and in the topic that George and Father Borys are going to be talking about today? Starting in 1989, I had the privilege of spending 12 years in the former Soviet Union, practicing law in Russia and Ukraine and in the Czech Republic. And through that experience, I was able to witness really firsthand the scars of the Soviet legacy. And that's really why I'm such a strong supporter of the Catholic Church in Ukraine, and particularly of the Ukrainian Catholic University. I mean, for me, the Ukrainian Catholic University represents a number of key things. First of all, it's the center of Catholic scholarship and education in the former Soviet Union, and it has a growing reputation really for strong general academic excellence. It's the only Catholic university in the former Soviet Union, and in many ways it's really the vanguard. It's on the forefront of reforming the Ukrainian educational system, especially the system of higher education. As many of you know, the system is highly centralized in the former Soviet Union, and the Ukrainian Catholic University really is at the forefront of trying to change that, of giving universities independence and freedom of thought. It also has a very rigorous program of integrating academic studies with moral values and social engagement, of philanthropy, which is something that is new and is really not been typical, certainly not typical during the atheist Soviet times when all these ideas were monopolized, including those in the social sectors. And finally, I think for me the most important aspect of Hewko is it really is a symbol of the struggle of an entire church in Ukraine. Perhaps you don't know, but the Ukrainian Catholic Church for 50 years was the largest illegal Christian church in the world. It withstood incredible, intense Soviet persecution. Hundreds of thousands of Ukrainian Catholics were deported, shot, disenfranchised, thrown out of their jobs because of their faith and their belief, and because they were Catholics. So for all those reasons, I'm a very strong supporter of the university. I recently joined the Board of Trustees of the Ukrainian Catholic University, and our family has set up a foundation to help the university. In fact, one of our beneficiaries, Roman Zavisky, is somewhere here. He's a doctoral student at Oxford University, and he's being partially funded by a grant made by our family foundation. So Roman, welcome to our home. So having seen firsthand some of the scars, again, of the Soviet legacy in the former Soviet Union and Eastern Europe, I'm very interested in hearing the views of our two distinguished visitors this evening. First, George Weigel. George is one of the most recognized and respected commentators on contemporary cultural, political, and religious issues. He's distinguished senior fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center here in Washington, and the author of numerous books. Many of them are bestsellers, including Witness to Hope, the official biography of the late Pope John Paul II. This tour de force has been translated into many languages throughout the world. He's also the author of The Cube and the Cathedral, which deals with European demographics, culture, and religion. And he's also a member of the Ukrainian Catholic Education Foundation Advisory Council. Welcome, George.
Thank you.
And we also have with us Father Borys Gudziak. Father Gudziak is the rector, the president of the Ukrainian Catholic University in Lviv in western Ukraine. He has a degree in philosophy and biology from Syracuse University, and he did his basic and advanced theological studies in Rome. He also has a PhD in theology from Harvard University. He's also a very close friend. We were very close friends. We met at Harvard when we were both doing our graduate studies there. And he's been perhaps the single most important force in starting the Ukrainian Catholic University in 1992. And he is a renowned authority on Slavic church history and contemporary religious and cultural affairs in the former Soviet Union. So let me suggest perhaps the following format for this evening. Perhaps, George, you could start out with your thoughts on the topic of secularization in Europe and its effect on Eastern European culture. Then we'd like to show you a very short clip about the Ukrainian Catholic University, then hear from Father Gudziak, and then really open it up to questions and answers. I very much hope that this can be an evening of dialogue, of discussion, of provocative thought about the Catholic Church in Eastern Europe, and the Catholic Church in general. Again, we have with us George Weigel, one of the foremost thinkers on many of these issues, and I very much again hope that this can be a very open, free, and interesting discussion.